Welcome back to the channel. Okay then, we're going to do a top 10, but it's not a top 10, it's just 10 satisfying endings to music cues or music that's in the body of a film. Just a piece of music where the ending kind of makes you want to punch the air, or it moves you some way, it just leaves you, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, just those kind of whoa moments of film music, that come to an end, they go boom, and you go, yeah, or ooh, or oh. It's that kind of music that just really affects you, and it leaves you just drained in a good way. But the only criteria was that it had to affect me emotionally somehow. So John Williams could have been in all of this. I could have done a top 50 of John Williams, but I want to do some other composers as well. So I've chosen 10, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm probably going to do another one of these because I had a few more, but I didn't want the video to be too long. So these are in no particular order. Okay, so 10 endings to pieces of music that really kind of crappy way to describe it, but and the first one, Air Force One. The ending to this, I love it. It's there's no messing around with this film when it comes to the end. It's story's finished. We've reached the conclusion. I won't spoil it for you, but it's a happy ending. The music rises up, and it's finished. Game over. Film's done. But you just go yes at the end. And it's just wonderful. Jerry Goldsmith, brilliant score, and it's a great fun action flick as well. So that's my first one. Just a great end to that score. Turn the page. Next one, a bit of Elmer Bernstein, or Bernstein. Is it Bernstein? Bernstein? I get them mixed up. Somebody corrected me and said was it Bernstein or Bernstein? It's Leonard Bernstein, but I don't know. Him, Elmer. And Airplane. This is probably my number one all-time favourite comedy film. I still find it funny 40 years later. It's genius. It's absolute genius. And the fact that the score is played seriously just makes it even better. Elmer Bernstein really got it. And he just has a riot with this. And when it comes to the end, the cue was resolution stroke tag on this La La Land release of the complete score, which is fantastic, by the way. You get some screamy choral work. If you've seen the film, you know what I mean. You get a bit of the 1812 overture and a good rousing send-off, which then goes straight into the I'm going to pronounce this correctly, Notre Dame Victory March. But yeah, it's just a good rousing end to the film and a great little piece of music. So, but if you can track this down as well, this is the complete score, La La Land, came out in 2000, but great stuff. Next up, Jerry Goldsmith, again, Basic Instinct. Wonderful end to the score. Now, there are two ends. There's the one that appeared on the soundtrack when that first came out in 1992, and the one that appeared in the film. Now, it's the very climax of the film. Again, I won't give you any spoilers, but there's a great operatic crescendo right at the end of the film before it cuts to the credits. And two different ones. There's one on the soundtrack album which is different to the one that's in the film. The one I like is the one that was on the soundtrack album, not the one from the film. The one from the film is perfectly okay, but the one on the soundtrack album I just think has a bit more oomph, impact, and a great crescendo, great operatic ending. And the cue is called An Unending Story, But if you can get it on this is the Quartet 2 CD set. It's got both versions of it on there. But brilliant film, brilliant score, brilliant ending to the score. So check that one out. Next up, from 1989, a bit of Danny Elfman. Batman. Again, it's another just grand operatic crescendo for finale. The cue is finale. This is the original CD release of the score. I don't have that all singing, all dancing, La La Land one, unfortunately. But great score. Took me a while to come around to Danny Elfman, but great score, and it's a great finale, great finish to the film. When music used to finish a film off, it didn't just peter off and just go, yeah, whatever. But yeah, great stuff. Next up, I was going to leave this to the second video, but I had to get it out of my system. Star Wars. I've chosen A New Hope because this is the first time that we heard it. That ending, still, the end credits right at the end, it's awesome. It's spectacular. If you can get to see a good orchestra play that live, it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Nothing more to be said. Brilliant. Next up, I've chosen a bit of John Barry. John Barry, not known for his great kind of endings, I don't think. But I don't have this score on CD. I've got various covers of it, versions of it on compilation CDs. So I've chosen this one. There's this filthy box set of John Barry, but it's Hanover Street. The theme from Hanover Street. It's a lovely theme, but it just builds up to a great finale for John Barry. Check it out though. If you haven't heard it, Hanover Street by John Barry. The theme. Great stuff. Next up, some more Jerry. I always said that Jerry Goldsmith didn't know how to finish a cue, and John Williams didn't know when to finish a cue. So some of it's not a criticism, because I love Jerry Goldsmith is my favourite composer of all time, but sometimes the endings to his pieces of music were quite abrupt. They go, oh, it's finished. Oh, okay. And John Williams just goes on and on and on and on and on. Great stuff, but doesn't, when's it going to finish? Come on. But to me, the ending of the end titles to Supergirl is probably Jerry's best ending to a score. It's most satisfying, I think, and it's a great fun score as well. This is a bit scratched now, but this is the silver screen expanded edition of the score. But yeah, if you haven't heard of or you haven't heard the score to Supergirl, hear it. Next up, I've chosen Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Another bit of Jerry after I complained about him not being able to finish. That sounds rude, but I haven't chosen the main title theme or the end credit theme. I've chosen the ending to the Enterprise, which I think is just brilliant. It's up there with Supergirl for Jerry Goldsmith finishings. But yeah, I wish they'd had the ending for that as the ending to the end titles. That would have been a more satisfying ending rather than just finished. But yeah, check out the Enterprise. It's just a great standalone grandstand piece of music as well, but a brilliant ending. Back to John Williams and Space Camp. This is the new Entrada 2-disc release, which I finally got about a week ago. Took over 2 months to get to me. It's a long story. I'm not going to go into it again. But before we get into the ending, or the ending of the cue, that's the original Entrada, or the reissue Entrada of the original score. That's the new one. They could have been a bit more creative with the artwork for the new release. It's just exactly the same. Exactly the same. I'm not complaining. The music's great, but come on in, John. Anyway, the track that we're looking at though is Home Again, which is the final piece of music before the end credits. Again, it's not a brilliant film, but that is just, it's another piece of classic John Williams, just hit it out the ballpark, to use an American kind of thing. But yeah, any version of the Space Camp score is great, but go for the 2-disc one. It's still available from Entrada. And finally, for this episode of Top 10 Endings, it's one of my favourite films of all time, one of my favourite scores of all time. It's just the ending. It's another triumph at John Williams' ending. It's got a fanfare. It's got pounding timpani. It's just a resounding, brilliant end to E.T. This is the La La Land. This was their original one from a few years ago, which they've just re-released for the 40th anniversary. But it's just stupendous. And if you ever see this live, it's just it'll bring tears to your eyes. It's just gorgeous, spectacular. Okay, that's my top 10 for this one. There are so many great scores with so many great endings and crescendos, and I'm going to do another one of these very soon. Well, maybe pick some surprising ones. Maybe not just the big bombastic endings. You know, maybe a few more softer ones, emotional ones. But yeah, there's more to come. So until then, good day.